Okay, let's unpack this. You know that feeling when your to-do list looks less like a plan and more like a runaway train?
Definitely. Emails piling up, deadlines looming.
Yeah, and you just think, there has to be a smarter way to tackle this without my head exploding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that exact feeling, that hunt for a better approach, that's what we're diving deep into today.
Yeah.
The often underestimated power of prioritization.
And what's fascinating is that this isn't just about cramming more into your day. It's really about intentionally focusing on what truly propels you forward.
Right.
And this deep dive is tailored for you, our listener, as we explore effective ways to manage your tasks and, well, your time.
And we've gathered some really useful insights, haven't we? Drawing from, like, core project management principles,
Yeah. The sort of well-established wisdom in the field, you could say.
alongside practical techniques honed in, real-world scenarios
Yeah.
from learning labs and knowledge repositories.
Exactly. We're looking at foundational stuff from things like the PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge, but also more hands-on stuff from learning sessions.
So our mission for this session is pretty straightforward. To arm you with concrete strategies.
Yeah, practical tool.
We want to help you sort through your commitments and manage your time so you feel, hopefully, in command, laser-focused, and actually making headway on what counts.
And the importance of prioritization, well, it really can't be overstated, particularly if you're leading teams or managing projects in, say, a corporate setting.
For sure.
Foundational project management thinking really emphasizes how critical it is to direct resources, and that absolutely includes your most valuable resource, time,
Time, yeah.
towards achieving the most impactful results for whatever you're working on.
Absolutely. I mean, just consider this. Managers are constantly juggling a multitude of responsibilities, right? Each one screaming, urgent.
It's easy to feel paralyzed trying to decide where to even begin.
And then you factor in those tight deadlines. The constant tension between, like, immediate needs and those crucial long-term strategic goals.
Not to mention our own biases creeping in sometimes.
Oh, definitely. And the challenge of allocating limited resources effectively.
Yeah,
That's just a perfect storm for feeling overwhelmed.
precisely. And that's where a deliberate approach to prioritization becomes so valuable.
A system.
Exactly. Our research, reflecting established practices, indicates that a structured method helps filter out the noise. It leads to a much more efficient use of your time and energy,
Makes sense.
concentrating your efforts on those activities that deliver the biggest bang for your buck. And interestingly, some studies suggest prioritizing work can slash stress for knowledge workers by as much as 30%.
Wow, 30%.
Yeah,
That's actually a tangible benefit right there.
it really is.
Okay, so where do we even start to bring order to this chaos? I mean, where's step one?
Well, a common thread we've seen across different productivity methods is the idea of creating a master task list.
Master list.
Yeah. It's mentioned in various learning materials as a fundamental first step. It might sound overly simple, but it's kind of a cornerstone.
Like a brain dump of everything.
Pretty much. Think of it as a complete inventory of everything vying for your attention. Getting it all down, whether on paper or digitally, provides that crucial bird's eye view of your commitments.
Right. Get it out of your head and onto the page, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, so once you've got that brain dump done, what's the next level? This is where that matrix comes in, right? The time management matrix.
Yes, often called the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a framework we found referenced consistently across different productivity approaches, and for good reason.
Why is that?
Well, it offers a really clear structure for categorizing those tasks from your master list. It uses two key factors: how urgent they are and how important they are to your goals.
Urgency and importance.
Okay. And this division creates four distinct quadrants.
Right. So you've got quadrant I, which is both urgent and important. Think genuine crises, immediate problems, those make or break deadlines.
These are the do-it-now tasks, no question.
Then there's quadrant 2. Important, but not urgent. This is where, like, the proactive work lives. Planning, building relationships, skill development.
Spot on. Identifying opportunities, the schedule it quadrant. This is often the most neglected, but arguably the most valuable.
Okay. Then quadrant 3.
That's urgent, but not important. These are often those things that shout loudly for your attention, maybe some meetings, certain emails, interruptions.
Things that feel urgent but don't actually move the needle much.
Exactly. They don't significantly contribute to your core objectives. The usual advice here is to delegate it, if possible.
Delegate, got it. And quadrant 3.
That's not urgent and not important. This is where time wasters tend to reside: trivial activities, some unnecessary emails or calls, you know the type.
The eliminate it category, just get rid of it.
If you can, yes, or at least minimize it drastically.
It's really eye-opening when you think about the impact of spending too much time in certain quadrants, like always being in quadrant 1.
That constant firefighting mode, it leads straight to stress and burnout.
Yeah, and constantly reacting to quadrant 3 urgencies, those urgent but not important things, that often leads to feeling busy but not actually accomplishing your key priorities, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You feel like you're running hard but not getting anywhere meaningful, and we shouldn't overlook quadrant 3 either.
The time wasters.
Yeah. A significant amount of time spent there can, understandably, lead to low impact and a perception of not being very productive.
So the sweet spot is quadrant 2.
The real power lies in shifting your focus towards quadrant 2, those important but not immediately pressing tasks. This is where you build long-term value, gain control, build vision, and experience fewer crises down the road.
Right, and that ties directly into something called the 4Ds, doesn't it?
It does. Do, defer, delegate, and delete. It aligns perfectly with the time management matrix. It's essentially the action you take based on where a task falls in the matrix.
Do for Q1, defer or schedule for Q2, delegate for Q3, delete for Q4. Simple but effective.
Precisely. Now, beyond this foundational matrix, there are also broader, more strategic prioritization techniques that can be incredibly helpful.
Okay, like what?
Well, one that's particularly valuable when you're defining the scope of a project is the Moscow method.
Yes, Moscow, M-O-S-C-O-W. Spell it out for us.
Sure, it stands for must have, should have, could have, and won't have.
Right. It's a handy way to categorize features or tasks. We saw a great example, didn't we? Something about an MRI machine.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Developing a new MRI machine. The must-haves would be the absolute non-negotiables: patient safety, clear image quality, meeting regulatory standards, things it just has to do.
Okay, makes sense. What about the others?
Should-haves might include things that significantly improve the user experience or add key functionality, things that are important but not vital for core function. Could-haves would be nice to have features, maybe desirable but not essential for the initial launch.
Like bells and whistles.
Sort of, yeah. And won't-haves are things specifically excluded from the current phase or project scope. It's important to define those two.
That MRI example really highlights how Moscow helps you draw clear lines, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Between what's absolutely critical and what's just desirable, especially at the start of a project.
it does. Another powerful technique is the idea of relative priorities.
Okay, let's dig into this. Relative priorities. How does that work?
It's basically about directly comparing tasks against each other to determine their order of importance.
So task versus task.
Exactly. Imagine you have that master list of things to do. You take any two items and ask yourself, if I could only do one of these right now, which one would have the biggest positive impact? Or which one is more important?
And you just keep comparing pairs.
You keep doing this comparison until you have a ranked list. For example, we looked at a list that included things like starting a month-end report, booking flights, and answering an urgent email from a VP. Through this comparison process, maybe answering the VP's email jumps right to the top because of its potential impact or, the urgency for someone else. Then maybe the report, then the flights.
Ah, I see. So it forces you to make those trade-off decisions explicitly?
It's a very practical way to overcome that feeling that everything on your list is equally critical.
Yeah, because it rarely is.
Yeah.
And we can't forget the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule.
Absolutely not. This concept pops up repeatedly in discussions around productivity and effectiveness for a good reason.
That's the idea that roughly 80% of your outcomes, your results, come from just 20% of your efforts. Is that right?
That's the core idea. The key insight here is to identify those crucial 20% of activities, the high leverage ones that generate the most significant results, and make sure those get your prime attention and energy.
Focus on the vital few, not the trivial many.
You got it. Now, effectively prioritizing your tasks is one crucial aspect, but it's only half the battle, really.
What's the other half?
The other equally important piece is how you actually manage the time you have available to do those prioritized tasks.
Ah, time management. Okay.
Yes, and there are several time management techniques that work really well alongside prioritization. One of these is time blocking.
Time blocking, sometimes called batching.
Exactly, or time doxing. It involves looking at your prioritized tasks, grouping similar types of work together.
Like all your calls or all your writing.
Precisely. For instance, dedicating a specific block of time just for answering emails, or maybe a 2-hour block for focused work on that important Quadrant 2 project.
And then you schedule those blocks directly into your calendar.
Yes, you treat them like appointments. It's about being intentional with how you allocate your time, protecting that focus time.
Okay, I like that. What else?
Another popular method is the Pomodoro technique. Heard of that one?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Involves a timer, right? Like a tomato timer.
That's the origin, yes.
Uh-huh.
It breaks down your work into focused intervals, traditionally 25 minutes long.
Just 25 minutes.
Yeah. Focused work for 25 minutes, then you take a short break, maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
After about 4 of those cycles, those Pomodoros, you take a longer break, maybe 15, 30 minutes.
So it's about working in sprints.
Exactly. It's a great way to maintain concentration, build momentum, and prevent mental fatigue, especially for tasks that feel daunting.
Interesting. We also came across the 333 method.
We did. This is more about structuring your day. It suggests allocating your day to focus on roughly 3 hours of deep work on an important project,
Okay, the big stuff.
then tackling 3 shorter but perhaps more urgent tasks or meetings, and then addressing 3 routine maintenance tasks, things that keep the wheels turning.
So it's a framework for balancing different types of work throughout the day. Deep work, urgent stuff, and maintenance.
Yeah, it helps ensure you're making progress on big goals while still keeping up with daily demands.
Gotcha. And for those tasks you tend to put off, the procrastination specials.
Ah, yes. For those, the Eat the Frog method is worth considering. It's attributed to Mark Twain, apparently.
Eat the frog. What's the idea?
The core idea is simple. Tackle your most challenging, most important, and probably most unpleasant task first thing in the morning.
Get the worst over with.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Eat that frog. Get that big, ugly task done, and the rest of your day often feels much more manageable, much less daunting. You've got momentum.
I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
Okay, one more I think we found was the Seinfeld strategy. Bit of a different angle.
Yeah, this one is less about prioritizing specific tasks on a given day and more about building consistent habits and maintaining focus on long-term goals.
How does it work? Is it actually from Jerry Seinfeld?
The story goes it is. It's surprisingly simple. Set a clear daily goal related to something you want to achieve consistently, like writing for an hour or exercising.
Yeah.
Then get a big wall calendar. Every day you successfully complete that task, you put a big X on that day.
Right.
After a few days, you'll have a chain of X's. Your only job then is don't break the chain.
Ah, the visual motivation. Keep the streak alive.
Exactly. Try to avoid missing even one day, but definitely try never miss 2 days in a row. It's all about building momentum, discipline, and consistency through that visual feedback loop.
Makes sense. It's about the habit itself.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay. So lots of different tools and techniques there.
There really are. And as we kind of bring this deep dive to a close, I think the key message is that effective prioritization and time management, they aren't innate qualities some people just have.
Right. They're skills.
They are learnable skills, skills that you, the listener, can cultivate by understanding and applying a range of these tools and techniques we've talked about.
Absolutely. And remembering that crucial difference between what's truly important for your goals and what's just, loud and urgent. That's the heart of the time management matrix.
And remembering the power of focusing on those high leverage activities, the 20% that gives you 80% of the results, like the Pareto principle suggests.
So what's the takeaway action for people listening?
Well, here's a practical challenge for you listening. Don't try to implement everything at once. Pick just 1 or 2 of the techniques we've discussed today that resonated.
Like maybe starting with that master task list.
Yeah, maybe just do that brain dump.
Okay.
And then perhaps try categorizing those items using the time management matrix urgent important. See what that reveals.
Or maybe try the Pomodoro technique for one focused work block.
Sure, give it a shot. See if it helps your concentration. But here's a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
Considering all these different approaches we've covered, the matrix, Moscow, time blocking, Pomodoro, all of them, what if the most effective prioritization strategy isn't really about finding the single objectively best method?
What is it about then?
What if it's more about consistently applying one method, maybe 2, that truly fits your individual work style, your personality, and your specific goals?
So the best system is the one you'll actually use consistently.
That could be the real key. So the question for you to ponder is, which of these methods resonated most with you today, and why? Finding that personal fit might be the most important step of all.
That's a really insightful point to consider. Find what works for you. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into prioritization and time management.
My pleasure.
We sincerely hope this exploration has given you some valuable insights and some practical tools to help you take control of your workload and manage your time more effectively.